Eins, zwei, drei, vier, lift your stride and drink your beer.
In their own way, Chicagoans sing the praises of beer. Not always in song, perhaps. Mostly, it's by tossing them back. That's not to say, however, that Chicagoans aren't discerning beer lovers.
I had the amber earlier this week, and it was like real malty, and I like the flavor of it. But then the Oberon is one of the best wheats I've ever had. Generally, I'm not a wheat drinker. I don't drink a lot of wheat beers, but this is just really good. I really enjoy it.
To be sure, most bars in Chicago don't serve up fancy schmancy beers. Miller and Bud are the biggest names and the best sellers. But when you talk about so-called craft beers, one of the top rated in Chicago is Bell's.
It is a line of beer that is kind of uniquely flavorful. It was kind of a pioneer in being an unfiltered, unpasteurized, full flavor product. It's a Midwestern product, so it has a natural constituency here.
But that constituency was left high and dry for a while. 2 years ago, the various varieties of Bell's beer disappeared from store shelves and taverns throughout the state. After a decade-and-a-half run, Bell's no longer flowed in Illinois. It was the decision of Larry Bell, the man who first brewed the beer and gave it its name.
The wholesaler that we had decided that they wanted to leave the beer industry and that they were going to sell our brand and a number of other brands to another wholesaler. I didn't find that that was the proper fit for our brand. Either I was going to get sold to somebody I didn't want to be sold to, I was going to get sued for not agreeing to that, or I was going to take my marbles and pick them up and go home for a while.
Larry Bell started making beer in his Kalamazoo, Michigan kitchen in 1980. Those first batches were brewed in soup pots and garbage pails. But Larry was proud of the finished product, and word soon spread that he knew how to make a good homemade beer. It turned into a business that eventually reached the thirsty Chicago market.
I started down in Chicago there, I think in 90, 91, and basically I was driving the beer down in a van.
That was the time when the microbrewery phenomenon took off, and the Hop Leaf Bar in Andersonville opened its doors to beer lovers.
It was one of the products that helped, establish us as a beer bar. One of the first things we did when we opened here 17 years ago is that we had some of our own neons made showing products that we had that other people didn't have. And we put like a Bell's neon in the front, and like cars were driving by and people would just like screech to a halt and like park a car and say, wow, they've got Bell's on tap there.
Bell's became one of the most popular craft beers in Illinois. But then came the drought. In late 2006, Larry Bell pulled out of the Illinois market, a decision that didn't come cheap.
Illinois at the time we left in October of '06 was approximately 11% of our sales, so a significant portion of our business.
The dispute that led Bell to leave Illinois is grounded in the laws that cover the distribution of alcoholic beverages. Every state has a three-tier system in which manufacturers are required to sell to a distributor who then sells to bars and stores. It's a system that came into play when Prohibition was repealed in 1933.
Prior to Prohibition, beer was directly sold from breweries to taverns. And that led to a lot of corruption. Breweries used to carve out neighborhoods like drug gangs. And bars had to carry, if this was a Schlitz neighborhood and you wanted to carry Pabst, you might be visited by a bunch of guys who smashed your windows out.
But now it's the middleman who carries a lot of weight.
Once you sign or even conduct business with a wholesaler, that wholesaler then owns your brand in perpetuity. And if the contract is to be broken, the onus is on the manufacturer to prove negligence on the part of the wholesaler.
Donna Spagnola is president of one of Illinois' 70 alcohol distributorships. She says the three-tier system ensures that consumers get safe, quality products and that the state gets its fair share of revenue.
We are the most efficient and effective tax collection system. We collect over $150 million in state and local liquor taxes.
Perhaps because of that, liquor distributorships have become a major lobbying force in Springfield. They've succeeded in shaping many of the strict liquor laws in Illinois.
In general, in most of the states, the wholesalers do have fairly good political clout. They usually have well-funded political action committees, and they have been successful in crafting the laws governing distribution.
Fortunately for Larry Bell and lovers of his beer, the distributor who held his contract went out of business earlier this year. That freed him up to choose a new distributor, and Bell's beer is once again flowing in the land of Lincoln.
While beer fans are celebrating the return of Bell's to Illinois, there's another highly regarded craft beer maker that left the state in a dispute with its distributor that has not come back.
The New Glarus Brewery in Wisconsin left Illinois in 2002. Illinois fans of its beers have to head north of the border if they want to buy some.
Breweries and distillers and winemakers are often tied to a company like a ball and chain that isn't doing the job for them that they want to do. You know, if you sell beer, wine, or spirits, and your distributor is falling down on the job of really selling your product, it should be very easy for you to say, you know, I think someone else can do a better job and I'd like to move. Well, in Illinois, that's not the case.
Bell's new distributor is Don Española's company, whom Larry Bell says will give his product as much attention as the major brands. But that's not to say he wouldn't want to see some changes in the law.
One way we might be able to tweak things is to allow very small brewers, say under 5,000 barrels a year, to be able to do some self-distribution so that they can get going.
Larry Bell no longer falls into the under 5,000 barrel category. This year, he'll sell about 115,000 barrels, and Illinoisans will down a lot of it. For Chicago Tonight, I'm Eddie Arruza.